Welcome back to the show. You're going to love what we got. And guess what? XRP's up 11.5% in the last 24 hours. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow us in the Freedom Zone. Click the join button underneath the title of any one of our videos, or get down in the description box and join us in Patreon. Same price, but two different places, whatever you like best. Let me tell you, it's worth the price of admission, less than the cost of a cup of coffee. Every single daily video, zero Google ads. That's worth the price of admission right there. Not to mention the extra content, and we're getting into it today, deep into the actual conversation and the relationship of tariffs and President Trump. We've got so much to show you today in the Freedom Zone, and all of this is connected back to this new asset class that we are watching be born right before our eyes. Don't believe it, it's still true. Right now, $2.63 trillion market cap for crypto. The market's up 3.2, but watch these numbers. Bitcoin 79,000 plus, Ethereum 1,500 plus, XRP, the number 4 spot's $1.96. We're up 11.5% in the last 24 hours. Oh, yes, we are. Going from 175 to 198. We're at the top of that range right now. Could we break $2 today? Is this the turnaround? What's going on? Well, let's get into the news. Eleanor Terrett shares this, as mentioned in her newsletter this morning. The SEC Crypto Task Force has announced the panelists and agenda for the second of its 5 scheduled crypto policy roundtables, which will take place on Friday. Remember, Dr. Brummer is a part of that crypto task force, and I just want to let you know he's going to be at XRP Las Vegas in 51 days, ladies and gentlemen. Get your ticket. Brad Garlinghouse, Simon McLaughlin, Keith Grossman, Stephen McClurg, Matt Hogan. The list goes on and on and on. Cody Carbone from the Digital Chamber, for goodness sakes. It's going to be a remarkable event. Make the investment in yourself. Get your ticket. Don't worry about price. Worry about where this market's going, and you will learn things at this conference that you will not learn anywhere else. I'll tell you that. It's happened every year in succession. Let's get started here. The Trump family-backed World Liberty Financial posted a new governance proposal to distribute its USD1 stablecoin to all WLFI holders as a reward to early supporters in testing its airdrop functionality. The stablecoin race has begun. And look at this. Dom from Easy A. Shout out to you, Dom. Let me tell you, we're going to be working with them closely. We're going to have $25,000 in prizes, and we're going to restructure that prize offering so more people get cash. That's right. Developers with the best business and pitch ideas are going to get a money award, and all of that's going to add up to $25,000. You could be a lucky winner too. Pitch your best idea for builders and developers and the project that you have in a Shark Tank style pitch. It's going to be amazing. And we're going to give away lots of money. $25,000 we're going to give away. But he's over at a conference right now in Paris, and he says, just arrived in Paris for the Ripple Roadshow. Wow. Well, that's interesting. You know, the roadshow term is usually used when you're IPOing. Right before you IPO, they go on what they call a roadshow, where they tout the company in front of a bunch of people, so that other investors, right? So they let them know what's coming. And I can't tell if that's what's going on here, or if it's just the verbiage they wanted to use at the conference. But you know what? Head on a swivel, ladies and gentlemen. Crypto derivatives are becoming a major part of our major digital asset class. From Smoke Dog here, he's absolutely right, reminding all of us about Coinbase's derivatives, April 21st, 2025. You could take a look right here. Look at it. Take a look at it. XRP futures. Yeah. Contract code XRL, right? XRP futures contracts to be offered for trading on the exchange on or after April 21st. Ladies and gentlemen, we're just a couple weeks away right there. Loving that for us. Wrath the Conman says in the weeds, so the Coinbase XRP futures filing, which Brad Garlinghouse also retweeted, is interesting in its disclosures. And we did cover the Brad's retweet on that the other day. Coinbase claims XRP in ODL utility, on-demand liquidities utility, has made XRP particularly attractive to financial institutions, payment providers, and corporate payments. Boilerplate, or do they know something? Yeah, I don't find this to be a boilerplate, because a boilerplate is usually a template that you use, and that template doesn't apply to everybody. So I don't know why that would be a template when it doesn't apply to so many other protocols. ODL uses XRP bridge currency, enable real-time currency conversion, significantly reducing transaction costs, processing remittance, corporate payments. Utility has made XRP particularly attractive to the financial institutions, payment providers, and remittance services seeking more efficient settlement methods. And when we get legislation and a bunch of stable coins running around the world back and forth and CBDCs, we're going to see massive amounts of volume and liquidity on the XRP ledger, I believe. Here from XRP Army, XRP tomorrow is the day for the first ETF go live. This is Teucrium, and this is not a spot ETF. Let's be clear. This is a futures ETF, but it is still exciting because you can feel this is one more step closer to getting all of the products launched on top of XRP. Remember, 18 ETFs, and we're waiting for BlackRock to be the 19th ETF filing for spot ETFs. This is a futures ETF. But I think when if we understand we don't have price discovery on XRP, it's because price discovery comes from the spot market and the futures market, and then the price is derived from those markets to get an actual price discovery. So that's how young and nascent this space still is, according to traditional investors in Wall Street. But it's exciting to see all of this. A 2x XRP ETF is launching tomorrow in the US. It is the first ever XRP ETF on the market. Very odd, maybe a first. That a new asset's first ETF is leveraged 2x. Spot XRP still not approved, although our odds are pretty high. So again, it is a futures ETF, but it's still pretty wild that they have a leveraged ETF being the first one. So, but we'll keep an eye on it. But speaking of derivatives, which all of these products are, right? Let's take a listen to what this guy says here. Shout out to Smoke Dog. This guy's on
rate swaps.
fire.
This right here, this. If you're interested in blockchain and you want to make money, forget about sending money back to your uncle in France. This is where you should be thinking. This is the size of the entire economy of the world right here, GDP. This is the notional principle of all derivatives, okay? These are all forwards, futures, and options, and these are all derivatives except interest rate swaps. This right here, interest rate swaps.
All derivatives are over 700 trillion.
Biggest universe that most of you have never heard of. Millions of lawyers, millions of traders, millions of accounts, all that can be put on the blockchain, okay? And all this clearing system and settlement system, which we took, Dodd-Frank is like this thick, this much of it has to do with clearing and settling of swaps. Okay, it's a nightmare, it's a mess, and we can take this whole system and simplify it with distributed ledgers. Okay, I want to talk about...
There you have it. Now, with that being said, let's move to this place. I said, don't sleep on this, y'all. Don't sleep on this. Remember the XRP DRs, depository receipts, creating what is known to be an eligible securities offering of alternative assets like XRP so they can use it inside the DTCC, which is where they settle that over 700 trillion worth of derivatives. In fact, they settle over 2 quadrillion worth of derivatives every year without fail. So this product was created off of XRP, the asset, to have an eligible securities offering for the ownership of a digital asset and alternative asset for settlement. That's where the world's going here. Oh, I got more for you. HSBC, longtime Ripple partners, temporarily suspending services on April 20th for faster payment system maintenance. Oh, really? The same faster payment system maintenance that we're seeing with the Faster Payments Task Force? Isn't this interesting? Longtime Ripple partner? But here's what they're not saying. HSBC moves 275 billion per day across global payment networks and handles 70 to 90 trillion annually through SWIFT, SEPA, CHAPS, and more. That's what we're talking about here. They've publicly praised the XRP ledger and quietly tested blockchain rails. They're already aligned with ISO 20022 standardization. This isn't a routine update, it's a back-end transformation. Think less maintenance and more migration. When the big bank flips the switch, they won't announce it, they'll just do it. Watch HSBC April 20th. I think that's a worthy post and comments and food for thought there. Absolutely pay attention to what's going on. Just like you want to pay attention to what's going on here. I'm going to tell you something. This is amazing what we're talking about here. Take a listen to this.
Okay, so look, Western Union isn't going to go out of business anytime soon. They're going to adopt different technologies. Okay, but this is where the big money is. It's not in remittances. It's in these business-to-business payments across border. And that's why we have these kinds of companies.
Any questions? Anyone?
Like Ripple and Stellar. This is all about, right, business-to-business, back-end, big volume transactions, which are currently, very expensive. So if we
look where they are in that stack. Come on in.
You look at the payment system, they're not sitting at the, you're sending money back to your uncle, right? It is, right, at the bank level. So the banks are making transactions with other banks. Now, nothing's changed here. You're still doing something like correspondent banking, except now, because the data needs to move around more quickly than the money moves around, right? We can settle these things more quickly. So the difference between a Bitcoin and a Ripple, in a nutshell, again, not too much time to elaborate, is that what Bitcoin uses is an open, permissionless, distributed ledger system, right, where anybody can jump in and do a transaction. Right? That's kind of the beauty of it. I can go buy Bitcoin, you can go buy Bitcoin. We don't need to ask anybody's permission, and there's no middleman that can, accept or deny, approve or reject. It's distributed, the consensus around validating these transactions. What's different about systems like Ripple and most of the blockchain systems that will prevail is that they are permissioned, meaning that you have to be, a member, and membership has its privileges. And so you have these different nodes, and the nodes basically know one another. Okay, and then if I want to give money to my uncle back in France, let's say, then I have to go to one of these banks that are a member of the Ripple network, and then my uncle will go to one of these banks that's a member of the Ripple network, and then those banks will do their transacting through this distributed ledger.
How about that? How about that right there? Ain't that something? Yeah. They think we're all crazy, but you're not. I'll tell you who else I don't think is crazy. It's A-Grad Crypto. I think this guy's been right for years. We've just needed the fundamental news to unlock the prices on this chart that he's been telling us are there waiting for each one of us. That's what I believe. And I know he does too. Look at this. XRP to Bitcoin, 55 EMA and the 155 MA, $22 to $29, but first $140. Has anyone talked about the combination of the 55 EMA and the 155 MA on the XRP to BTC pairing? He said, I doubt it. He said, I know what you're thinking after yesterday's bloody day, and you're still talking about double digits for XRP? My response to you is a resounding yes, yes, and double yes again. The bullish cross, the last bullish cross happened only once, and it was on May 15th, 2017. He says, second one recently took place February 17th, 2025. After this bullish cross, XRP to BTC tried to retest the 55 EMA, but missed it and jumped another 958%. Let's correlate the bullish cross, retesting the 55 EMA. Previously, XRP BTC tried to retest the 55 EMA, but it was avoid that at the last moment. Let us assume that if XRP BTC retests the 55 EMA today, the target would be 0.00001850. This means XRP would be around $1.48 and BTC would be around 80K. And we know we were at $1.88 and we hit, I think, $1.60 something the other day, right? So if XRP to BTC rises 958% from the day of the bullish cross, it could go up to 0.000171. If BTC all-time high was at 109,000 on January 20th, 2025, and then it retraces to Fibonacci 0.702, 97K, then XRP USD would be at $16.50. Now let's consider if Bitcoin hits a new all-time highs. So if you take all of that information that he's just shared and consolidate it down to where Bitcoin goes in a new high, Bitcoin hits 130K, XRP could be around 22 bucks. Bitcoin hits 150, XRP could hit and be around 25. Bitcoin hits 170, XRP could rise to 29 bucks. That's the correlation and what he's seeing on the chart between the XRP BTC pairing right there. So super exciting. It's all in front of us. And I believe soon enough, it will all be revealed to us, ladies and gentlemen. It's not financial advice from me or anyone else. I am going into the freedom zone. You're going to want to come in there. I tell you, these are really great conversations because the events happening around the world are absolutely tied into this new digital asset class, especially the ones with utility. And we're going to get into all of that inside the Freedom Zone right now. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. It's just my digital perspectives. I'll catch all of you on the next one. Welcome.